and how he is apparently have his own agenda, in my view, to ruin the country.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley fielded questions from a packed room of heated Iowans in the Franklin County Courthouse on Friday, urging him to, quote, stand up for what's right, quote, against Congress and President Donald Trump's administration. The town hall, which drew more than 100 Iowans, quickly reached the room's capacity. This comes after the National Republican Congressional Committee recently advised Republicans against holding public town halls, as speakers' anger over Trump's administration policies went viral.
Article 2 of the Constitution says that the executive power of the federal government is vested in the President of the United States. Truman wanted to make that.
We don't care about it.
Truman wanted to make that such a strong statement that he had a sign on his desk says the buck stops here.
How did this town hall go?
Well, it goes like all of my town meetings. I let them set the agenda, and they can bring up anything they wanted to. And we dealt with a lot of issues that are on people's minds. It's not only that it's expressed here, it's expressed in the massive amount of emails, postal mail, telephone calls I get every day.
Postal mail? Who sends postal mail, bro?
He's old.
I want to know who's sending him postal mail. Like, no, for real. I'm serious.
Old
Bro doesn't
Iowans.
even know we're in 2025, huh?
Old Iowans, probably.
Well, if you notice, half the people in the town hall all had white hair too. I mean, it's a collective. I thought, COVID was so bad it wiped out all these people, but everywhere I look, they're everywhere.
Jeez,
Mia. I'm just saying, they had me scared. I was getting grandma sick. They're still alive and well, clearly, as we can see. They're all in Congress.
I'm sorry. There's still old people left now.
Well, there's still old people left in Congress. No, because I think there should be term limits. Enzo, what's your thoughts?
So I'm honestly, like you said about term limits, all in favor of term limits. There's no reason people should be in Congress for 40, 50 years. I think at max you should be able to get reelected twice, and it should be 6-year terms across the board. So 12 years altogether. Like, why do we have a cap on the president, but we don't have a cap on the president, cap on governors, but not for senators and congresspeople? Makes no sense to me.
Gray, should there be a cap? Chuck Schumer, your side, he's number 2 on the list for longest. Actually, number 4. He's been in 44 years now.
I definitely think there should be term limits, but I'll speak from personal experience. I'm as a career politician in my immediate family. So these people work for these positions for their entire lives, and they do these jobs. And also, once you go and you're in Congress, you get a pension. So, even though that's just one thing I want to ask you guys. So, even though they only do 4 or however many years, they get paid for the rest of their lives. So, do you want them there working, getting paid, or do you want them getting paid off the tax dollars of the American people?
Moving aside, so people can do real change while they're instead of them drawing a check. That's my vote.
I feel you.
I think they should get paid after X amount of time. Like I said, you do 12 years, you should be able to get a pension after that. Because look at any other job, like any union job, you have to do X amount of time to get your pension. So that's absolutely how it would follow. Not just you do one term and you get a pension for the rest of your life. No, not at all.
I think it should be term limits across the board. I think not only for congressmen and senators, but let's get some Supreme Court judges, some terms and some term limits. I feel like there should be no lifetime in government whatsoever.
Makes sense. Mia, what do you think?
I think they should not receive a pension. They should not receive benefits, and they should receive no money. This is a civil service. You should be doing this for the betterment of your community. You should not be doing this to get rich. You should not be doing this for anything else. They should get absolutely nothing, because we need people who truly want to help people in there. Well, they should not be getting anything from us. Like state senators or, assemblymen traditionally don't get paid. They do get their mileage back from the state, but in my state, they don't get paid. So the people that are voting for state specific laws here do not get paid. They do not draw an income. And how are we going to get out the lobbyists, the special interests, the super PACs, if we don't actually remove the money entirely from the equation?
Well, that's how.
We can't get rid of that, though.
Because if you remove the pay altogether, it makes it exclusively for people that are already wealthy, and they're the only ones that will be able to afford to do this job. So I say keep the pay and the lobbying, because if you make it a no pay job, and it's a job that does require a lot. I forget who it was. They made a video. I want to say it was AOC about how much time she actually spends in Washington versus home. You cannot keep a job and do this job.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I know someone who was a senator and he retired himself. But I mean,
Yes.
the amount of meetings that they have and have to drive, he literally had to have an apartment in the city where he had to go to meetings. And so, I mean, just you can't keep a job. Like, how would you pay your bills?
So you eliminate working class people by not having them paid, and you make it exclusively for millionaires. So I think keep the pay and end the lobbying, and then add term limits, and that's a good chunk of way how you remove the money from politics. Because these people have to get paid. Because other than that, like, none of us would be able to do it if it didn't pay. Leave for 6 years at a time. None of us would be able to do it. We'd all be out. It would be exclusively for people that are already wealthy. So the pay would have to stay. It's just, I say remove the lobbying and just call it what it is, bribery. You know, we love to change these terms and just call it what it is. Eliminate the bribery from politics.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, like, not all senators are staying in there and just like waiting until they can like no longer walk to retire. There are some people that have served and then they realize, hey, this is a lot. You know, you're having to run if you're a senator, you run every 6 years. So, I mean, if they've been running every 6 years and have been reelected, that means that the people in their district are voting for them and approve of the laws that they.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my only rebuttal to that is, like, statistics prove that 80% of incumbents almost always win, unless there's like an outlying factor. But that's because that's where the money comes into play, because incumbents have all the money, they have the connections to make. So they, even if the town doesn't want them, I mean, it's tough. Especially when somebody has coffers of $100 million behind them with multiple super PACs plus connections of other well-known political players. It's difficult to get an incumbent unseated if they don't want to be unseated.
I just think it's so hard to remove money out of politics because, like, you have to have advertising, you have to have marketing, you have to, like, get the name out there in some type of fashion. So, I mean, nothing's free. Everybody's getting paid from the intern to the top person. So I think they already kind of have a cap. It probably should be a cap on individual donations. But I know people still find a workaround around that. They do it in other people's names.
Yeah. Something we didn't talk about when it comes to people being this old. I personally think there should be an age limit. I'm going to play this clip. This guy, Steny Hoyer, he's in Prince George's County, Maryland. And yeah, he has to go. Let's play clips about his health issues.
Pratt has been hospitalized. Minority Whip Steny Hoyer of Maryland was diagnosed with pneumonia.
He's being treated at George Washington University Hospital with antibiotics and rest. Hoyer's office says he's expected to make a quick and full
look at him
recovery.
sitting next to Pelosi.
Hoyer is 79 years old. This is breaking news.
Two dinosaurs
For that
together.
breaking news tonight, we are learning Maryland Congressman
I want to
Steny
be clear,
Hoyer
these are two
is
different health
recovering
issues.
from a mild stroke. His deputy chief of staff says Hoyer suffered it Sunday night and that he is responding well to treatment and has no lingering symptoms. The 85-year-old is expected to resume normal schedule
85.
next week. The former House Majority Speaker has represented Maryland's 5th congressional district since 1981.
Jesus.
I mean, at what point do we say it's time to go? I mean, at what? I mean, if he runs again, guys, 2026, I believe, is the election. He will be 92, 93. At what point is enough enough?
Yeah, he absolutely needs to step down. I mean, especially when once you having health problems. I feel like that's just too much because you're supposed to be working for the people. Once you have health issues, you probably should walk away
Mm-hmm.
being a civil servant. So yeah, this guy should definitely step down.
It's wild. I mean, these people literally are just, riding the car till the wheels fall off at this
Literally.
point in time. Like, and I said it in the group chat. I mean, it bothers me because it puts the political party that you're affiliated with in a really bad spot if you have to just retire like in the middle of your term and they have to have special elections, or you are, deceased in the middle of your term. I mean, it's just very inconsiderate. But also I do notice that Washington, they don't foster the passing of the torch onto the younger people. We have all these elderly people that are holding on to all of this power and they refuse to bequeath it to other people. I remember when AOC first got elected, Nancy Pelosi used to block her from certain committees and whatnot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you'd think you would want to foster the next people to come up and to so you can pass it on so you can retire, and they don't.
No,
It's wild to me.
you're not in the club.
Right. And like that, I feel like that's like the biggest problem is we've allowed all of these politicians to have so much power to the point where they don't even care. They can all just retire tomorrow and them and their families are all set. It's the rest of us that are going to be feeling it. And it's going to be a power vacuum because the 10 that you listed are basically all going to retire probably within the next 3 years at this point in time, because I mean, the jig is up. So it's a power vacuum now between both parties. We have a two-party system and we're going to have a power vacuum because, McConnell's going to be leaving. I'm sure Grassley's going to be going out. I mean, Pelosi's going to have to retire. She's walking around with a cane at this point in time. Schumer. So what are these two political parties going to do when the power vacuum kicks? When we pop the cork and everybody's running full speed ahead for these prime positions? And then we're potentially going into a possible third world war as all of these things are simultaneously happening here. Like, it's so crazy. And it's another reason why I hate boomers, because only they would do something so nasty to us. Like, they just, the level of fucks they have to give for us as Americans is crazy, is wild work to me.
Just work harder, remember?
Yeah. Buy these bootstraps, dude.
Yeah.
Enzo, what do you think?
So I'm just going to go down the road of everybody was critical about Biden at 82 years old. This guy's 85 years old. Why are we not holding senators accountable the same way we held the president accountable? Because in all honesty, senators probably have a little bit of more power than the president does, in the fact that you need the Senate and you need the House to get everything passed. So how do we know, like I said about Biden, we knew his mind was gone. How do we know that these senators' minds aren't gone? Yes, because we don't see them as much on TV. They don't speak.
That's why
as
we
much.
don't. Because
That's it. But by the same logic, the right held Biden accountable at 82 years old. That should be a nationwide thing. Anybody in your 80s, you should not be in government whatsoever, because I know it's far in between people in their 80s. Some of them are sharp as a tack, and some of them are as they're gone. They're like babies at this point, wearing diapers. So that's the only thing I got to say about that. Get them in a fucking get them in a nursing home and just call it a day.
So, Enzo, I want to ask you this as one of the MAGA people on the line. There's been talk about Trump running a third term. Will you be supporting Trump if he runs a third term? Because I got into a heated debate with some of my other friends on this today.
So the other night when Dean came up on my stream, that's one thing that he asked me.
Dean.
Yeah. He was so surprised when I answered that. We answered that question. We're like, no, we're not going to support him on the simple fact I'm not going to make myself look like a hypocrite because I was critical about Biden himself. Also, the fact you're going to need an act of the executive branch, the legislative branch, as well as judicial branch, and then maybe an act of God after that for that to all come true. It's like you need the exact perfect storm. And if that did happen, no, I'm not supporting him whatsoever.
Either.
But it's such a pipe dream for that to happen.
Jay?
No, honestly, I just think that it's the career politicians that are just really the ones that make everything prevent things from changing because they benefit from a system that already exists and just so deep in place. And you will never have any kind of change if you have people that can run forever. And without term limits, you have the new politicians, even the new ones that get elected, that don't want anything to change because they want to be that. They want to keep getting elected till they die. They want to keep being those politicians that start the job with $100,000 net worth and end with a net worth of 40 million. And that's all of them. They get a job that pays six figures, but they all retire millionaires. And that's the motivation of getting into politics right now. It's the benefits. It's all the side money you're going to make. And I think if we, inside of some term limits, it would really end that. Not end it, but it would contribute to it because you wouldn't have these people making lifelong connections. You wouldn't have all these checks from Boeing. You wouldn't have all these checks from Lockheed Martin. That really just keep you in power and in turn makes you become a puppet. Why did we vote to go to war with Iraq and Afghanistan? Was there any benefit? No. We knew bin Laden wasn't there and we knew bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan, but we said yes to the war because the people that are writing the checks said we need you to go to war. And they said, absolutely no problem.
For sure. Skeptic, do you think there should be age limits on Congress people?
I do. I think that we don't just, age does have something to do with maturity. Like we know that science says that our brains mature at age 25 or age 20, I want to say, no, 25. So I do think we should wait and not just allow 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds to be running for Congress. And I did want to add, as far as Chuck Schumer goes, I do believe that he's getting a lot of backlash because he got blamed for the Senate voting in the budget resolution. And I don't know if people understand the reasoning behind why he did that as far as Democrats go. And now I see a lot of people talking about Chuck Schumer and like a lot of things springing up. And I don't know that people understand that if the Democrats wouldn't have approved the budget resolution through the Senate, we would have had a government shutdown. And from what I understood, a government shutdown gives limited congressional power to the sitting president, which was one of the things that I think Chuck Schumer was trying to address. Because now I hear a lot of talk about him, and I don't think that before this we were kind of questioning this, because at the end of the day, the district that they are running in is voting them in. If my district wants to continue to vote me until I'm 85 years old, I would think that the district is to blame for voting that person in,
For sure.
There's rumor that he's going to be primaried by AOC. That's what I'm hearing. I heard Nancy Pelosi, nonetheless, is the one pushing her to do that. Isn't that funny? Because she was blocking her years ago, Mia. But that's the rumor that I'm hearing, that they're trying to push her to primary him out.
I think he's definitely ruined his approval as far as the Democratic Party goes. So I could definitely see that. AOC is more outspoken, and she's like kind of a fresher face, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that.
Bernie has her all over the country doing town halls and is fostering her as the front runner. So I bet my left kidney, she's going to be a front runner to lead the Democratic Party for the next presidential election for sure. I mean, her and Bernie are drawing crowds of tens of thousands of people to see her. They are positioning her to pick up the torch. So I feel like she'll make that announcement. I mean, just from their town halls and everything that's happening, I think the power vacuum's happening, and Bernie's trying to position her to be the front runner winner against probably Gavin Newsom, because that's why he launched his podcast. So he could position himself as a moderate. That's why he brought on Charlie Kirk and was agreeing. I mean, I kind of slightly feel a little bit bad for Democrats because right now there is that power vacuum where there is no clear leader of the party right now. So I suppose it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Oh, well, let's do some closing thoughts. We'll all wrap up. Ladies first. Mia, what's your closing thoughts?
I mean, It is what it is. I still think Luigi's not guilty, and I don't think he deserves a death penalty. That's my closing thoughts.
Agreed.
That was simple. Skeptic, what's your closing thoughts?
I think we have to uphold the Constitution. If there's one thing that we should fight for, is for our constitutional rights not to be trampled upon, regardless of who's in office. I don't think it matters what political group they're in. And I also think that we have to educate ourselves on American history and what America has done as far as our history goes.
Jay, what's your closing thoughts?
I think that we absolutely need term limits for politicians. I think that we need to end just this, what is essentially just a free ride of money and power that we've been giving to career politicians that ultimately not only don't help us, but are against helping us because they don't want anything to change, because the system benefits them so much and it benefits their donors so much. So I think we absolutely need term limits. I'd even be willing to look up age limits if we can find a non-ageist way to do it. And yeah, that's my closing thoughts.
Enzo, what's your closing thoughts?
Where do I begin? Free Luigi. Term limits,
Yes.
absolutely. Get the old people out of, put them in the nursing home, get them out of Congress. And yeah, Trump's not running for a third term, guys. Let's just be honest. That's all I gotta say.
I don't know. Someone told me they'll vote for him if he gets rid of taxes. And they were MAGA. They were pretty serious. They looked me in my face and said it today.
They need to get their head scanned. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Gray, what's your closing thoughts?
Thank you to everybody in the chat, everybody in the audience. We go live Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, Thursday's the new party. Monday, Wednesday's the man cave. Just keep researching, like people said. Like, we do need term limits, and I feel like Trump has made more people into politics, so people should subscribe to the new party and get more political influence. That's my closing thoughts.
Oh, man. All right. So my closing thoughts is this. America, wake up. They care more about billionaires than they do us. 20-something brown people were unalived in a Walmart. And we think it's okay because I'm sorry the family doesn't want to go through the trial. And I'm sorry about that. But I've seen times where the family didn't want to persecute and the federal government still went after the people. So that's BS excuse. We need to hold people that do mass shootings accountable. I think we should look at reform. I'm sorry if you're against the death penalty, we can agree to disagree. But if you sit there and you take up that gun and you go and unalive my family and the next family because you're sick or whatever is going on with you, I don't care. That point, that's your business. We need mental health to be fixed in this country. And that's number 2. In addition, we do need mental health to be fixed, because if anyone thinks that Donald Trump is going to win a third term, you need to fix your head, like Enzo said. If you think you should vote for someone to be a dictator, we are America. I love Donald Trump, but I don't want Putin. I don't want Xi Jinping. I don't want none of that. I don't want communism in our country. So if you support Trump for a third term, you guys are freaking hypocrites. You call out the left. You say they're socialists, they're communists, while you're supporting communism and socialism by putting it in his head that he can run a third term. And that's my closing thoughts. I'm gonna land there. I'm sorry, MAGA. Don't hate me.
That was good.
Mic drop.
What'd you say, Jen?
What does the third term have to do with socialism?
Well, anybody that sits there and lives in power, they are dictators. They are communism. Not necessarily. There's different kinds of socialism, to be clear. But the reason is MAGA attacks you guys. They say the left supports socialism. The left supports communism. So why would you support that? Why would you want to be why would you want a dictator? That's all that's connected to communism, socialism. Most people who are dictators are connected to that, unfortunately. That's the point. But I'm not against I'm not against elements of socialism. Let me be clear. But I don't want a socialistic government, me personally. But I like elements of it. Like, so, the medicine, we can get into that, healthcare.
Like the fire department?
Anyway, yes, elements of it. And I know, and I'm aware of that, and I defend that.
I agree.
I'm for universal healthcare. But anyways, I know Gray's looking at me like, shut up. Everybody watching, please hit the like button. Thank you for watching. Come back Thursday night. Our topic will be about MS-13 and Tren de Agua. Who are they? What are they? Are we really deporting these people? Are we really deporting Tren de Agua and MS-13, or are we deporting innocent people? So we're going to talk about that Thursday night because that conversation needs to be had.
Like we always say on a new party, always vote.
Always vote.
Always vote. Good night, guys.
Always vote.
Always
Good
vote.
night.
Introducing the new party. We live stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.